Jai Sri Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Jai Gaura Brahmanandi, all glories to the Son of God, Hare Krishna, all glories to the Son of God, Hare Krishna, all glories to the Son of God, Hare Krishna, all glories to Shri Guru and Guru, all glories to Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Okay, Hare Krishna. Welcome to tonight's discussion. It's not a seminar, it will be a discussion on Prahlad Maharaj's prayers to Lord Narasimha from Canto 7, Chapter 9, verses, we'll try to cover verses 8 to 50. We may not get through all of that, but we'll touch on the main points. Okay. So this is after, the prayers come after Hiranyakashipu was killed. Was killed. Some people will say he was brutally killed. But he was killed. And his demon, he was killed. And then the Lord, Narasimha, after killing, he wasn't pacified. He was very angry. So angry that the demigods, headed by Lord Brahma, were also not able to pacify him. Okay, so they were worried what to do. And at that time, Lord Brahma understood that the Lord can only be pacified by someone who is dear to him. And that person was none other than Prahlad. But even before he asked Prahlad Maharaj, he asked, no, it's too loud, there's echo. Echo. Haribo, Haribo. Okay, that's better. So before that he asked Lakshmi Devi to go and pacify your Pati, but she looked at her husband, she said, I've never seen him so angry like that. Never seen him in this form, it's too much, and therefore I don't think I can approach him. And that's when Brahma decided to ask Prahlad Maharaj. Okay? And Prahlad Maharaj was, although he was a very young boy, but he was very confident. Because he's a pure devotee, very confident. And so he approached the Lord to pacify his anger. Generally, if you are practicing Krishna conscious properly, automatically one of the qualities is you become abhaya. That means you become fearless. In this case, Prahlad is seeing the Lord everywhere, so Narasimha is another form. He wasn't afraid at all. But he was very, serious when he approached the Lord and offered him respectful obeisances. So he didn't transgress any etiquette, Sometimes you find, when you ask your children to do something to some senior, they'll just do and run away or something like that, right? Because, that's how it is. They're not trained or they just don't want to do it. But Prahlad was at a different level. Although he was 5 years old, he paid obeisances very respectfully. And the Lord immediately felt great affection towards him. So then he took his giant paw, lion's paw, and then he affectionately rubbed his head, So in the mood of a father, Vatsalya, like that. And then, when he was touched by the Lord, Prahlad then, although he was feeling ecstasy, he could now understand complete knowledge, So he got spiritualized completely. He's a pure devotee, now he's completely spiritualized. So he has the ability to now glorify the Lord. Just like you remember, Durga Maharaj also, right? He couldn't say anything until the Lord touched him. Yeah. And then he offers this beautiful prayers and the instructions he gives in this prayer form. But mostly he glorifies the Lord. The first half of it is talking about the position of the Lord, and the second half more of a submission and plea. So the first verse is verse 8. You can look at it. Since there's so many verses, I'm not going to check them. I'm just going to give you an understanding, or at least my understanding of the verses. Okay? So in verse 8, in praying to the Lord, Prahlad, you will see he's taking a very humble position. Although he's very exalted, but still he feels, he gives respect to the demigods. He compares with the demigods and he says they are exalted. I'm not. And all these demigods are in the mode of goodness, and I am, how can you say I'm in the mode of goodness? Because I took birth in a Asura's family. Therefore, I am not qualified at all, my Lord. I'm lower than all these people. And Prabhupada says in the purport also that he takes the mood just like, or rather Krishna Das Kaviraj has a similar mood when he is writing the Chaitanya Charitamrita. He says, I'm very unqualified, I'm like lower than the worm in the stool. And when we read that, we may think, oh, he's probably faking it and not meaning it. But actually, these saintly people, they actually feel it. They actually feel that they are very fallen. And therefore, when they express their emotions, it's true emotions. Unlike many of us, we may fake it. We may have crocodile tears and stuff like that, but not the saintly people. And therefore, when he says, I'm not qualified, he means it. Prahlad means it, right? In our own practices also, how are we going to, speak to another devotee? Are we going to, pretend we are qualified, or are we going to be truthful? It's something you have to think about. Will I be truthful with this person and not truthful with the other person? That's more like diplomacy. As Vaishnavas, we don't do diplomacy. But as managers, you may have to. So it's not easy. But at the same time, you have to understand the principles properly. So we should never think that we are very qualified to do anything. We should take a humble position. Only by the mercy of Prabhupada, spiritual master, Guru Parampara, we are given a position, whether we are in a management position or in a deity worship position or just a simple devotee. We should see. Whatever we do, we are only able to do because of the acharyas and the mercy of devotees. And what are we meant to do? We are meant to? Okay, what else? Follow instructions. Anything else? We're meant to please. Give pleasure to the Lord and the devotees. Yes, service. Service our service should give pleasure. So when you do service and others are not happy, then there's something wrong. You need to reevaluate. Okay? Alright. So that's pretty much, I feel, is in verse 8, his prayer. And in verse 9, the next verse, he says that material qualifications cannot satisfy the Lord. And in the same mood, right, we know Queen Kunti also prays in the first canto. And she says, all this Aishwarya, parentage, education, which high family, all these things are not important for the Lord. Or you cannot capture the Lord. And she says, Akincha Gocha, one who has bereft of all the material things, then they can actually truly pray to the Lord. Because they don't have anything. If you have a material things, then even when you come to the Lord, you don't completely surrender. The mood is, I'm successful, I'm okay. That thinking is there. So he says material qualification cannot satisfy the Lord. What satisfies the Lord? Devotion, yes, bhakti. Bhakti satisfies. Otherwise, the Lord will cover himself. Naham prakasha sarvasya yoga maya samavritaha. He covers himself. Not only with his own internal potency, he covers us with material nature also. Maya can cover us, so we cannot approach the Lord. Basically, he'll cover himself when we don't take a humble position, or when we don't approach bhakti in a positive way. If we see bhakti as a burden, bhakti as too much of an activity that interferes in your pleasure, then you are in the wrong practice. You should go somewhere else. Verse 10, here he says that devotee is already automatically in the beyond the material platform. He's in the first level, Brahman stage, Brahma Bhuta stage. Why? Because he's always performing transcendental activities of service to the Lord. So whenever you do service for the Lord, or activities connected to the Lord, you're automatically in the Brahma Bhuta platform. The material energy cannot touch you. Now, in Brahma Bhuta platform, you can do pure devotional service. Otherwise, you're just doing sadhana bhakti, practicing bhakti. Okay? But if you really want to hit the top level, then you must practice in such a way that the material nature, anything around you does not disturb you. But mostly we are disturbed. About every small thing. Anything we hear makes us agitated and so on. Why is he talking like that? But one who is at Brahma Bhuta platform, he understands everything in the material world is actually temporary. The consequences cannot stop him or her from connecting with the Supreme Lord purely. No one can interfere that connection. No one. So therefore the devotee is already on that Brahman platform. Obviously, if someone is not a Krishna or Vishnu Bhakta, then even though they are Brahmanas or Kshatriyas or so on, but they have no Bhakti, then they also become disqualified. They cannot reach the Brahman platform. But if someone is a Chandala or a dog eater, but he takes up the process nicely, then he becomes qualified. So therefore you see that when you go to different countries, the caste Brahmanas don't like us. Because we elevate anyone who practices bhakti in a high platform. But they don't like that, So they try to go against devotees. Why? Because our attempt to please the Lord is superior to just caste Brahmanism. Okay? So they don't like that. Verse 11. He glorifies the process. He glorifies the process of the service of glorifying the Lord. Verse 11, where he says, hearing, chanting, and glorifying the Lord, and other activities, the angas. When we glorify the Lord, this service, it's not for the benefit, is not for the Lord. Understand? We are not glorifying so that he benefits. It's not like that. He doesn't need it. The devotional service is meant for whose benefit? Our benefit. Yeah, our benefit. And that's why we are glorifying the Lord. It's for our benefit. He's already glorious. What is our glorification going to do for him? He's happy to see us glorify him. Because he understands now you're on the righteous path. So So he doesn't need to be glorified, but he recommends that for us also. He's happy when we glorify him because that's our constitutional position, duty. Right? That's exciting to know that when you can glorify, he's happy. So that's nice, yeah. And as I mentioned earlier, the Lord, if we glorify the Lord, it doesn't mean he becomes glorious. He's already glorious. So whatever we say doesn't really make him better, He's already better. Even if we don't glorify him, he's still glorious. The Lord is always glorious. But when we take the attempt to glorify him, we become glorious. That's the whole point. You become glorious also. Yeah. Anyone who takes this service and then helps in propagating and glorifying the Lord, you become glorious, automatically glorious. The Lord will take care of you. Very nicely he will take care. Yeah. So, the other thing that is good about glorifying the Lord is, as soon as you start glorifying, you will be automatically purified. Cheto darpanam bhajanam mahamahadava nirvapanam. Say it, since you are memorizing. Cheto darpanam bhajanam mahamahadava Vidya Prabhuji Ananda Sri Krishna Kirtan. Yes. So now you're getting purified also. Just like all of us, simply by hearing, we also get purified. The darpanam is like a mirror in our hearts. So the dust that's collected, as we glorify all these misgivings, the false notion of who am I, the enviousness, the dissatisfaction with life, all those kind of feelings, emotions will be purified. So we become more glorious, we glorify the Lord. So therefore we should always do service. If we don't glorify the Lord, then Srila Prabhupada mentioned we are avidishu. That means we are rascals. That means we are arrogant. You don't want to glorify the Lord. We are one of the 4 types of miscreants. So we don't want to be a miscreant. Not wanting to surrender. Yeah. Verse 12. Here he just offers the best prayers. He says the Lord requires the best prayers, and the Lord himself will accept all the praise, and then he'll purify in return. It's very similar to verse 11. The Lord will also purify us. We'll go to verse 13. There he is saying demons are unfortunate. All the demons are asuras, are all unfortunate, and the devotees are fortunate because they take up any service to please the Lord. They are not fearful to serve. Devotees are never fearful, because service is more important for them than their own position at any time. Pleasing the Lord is more important, pleasing the devotee is more important. At their own cost of position, like that, they don't mind, so therefore they become fortunate like that. Whereas the demons, they are always fighting. They want to prove that God doesn't exist. They'll find all kinds of formulas and then they want to say God doesn't exist. So the Lord doesn't mind that they can. Srila Prabhupada also mentions when the demons want to fight with Krishna, Krishna is so kind. He says, you want to fight with me? Then I will fight with you. Right? Then it's like, if you want to love me, I will love you. So Krishna is very fair. It's just that when you see it from our perspective, or point of view, you think, oh, he killed him. But the demons wanted that, Right? They wanted it and he gave it to them nicely. So the Lord is very kind in that way. And so, verse 14. This is an interesting verse because when once Srila Prabhupada was in Vrindavan and he saw a snake in the courtyard, and Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur came running and said, "Kill it, kill it, kill it." And Srila Prabhupada was thinking, what? Why is he saying? Because he's a sadhu. He's a saintly person. Why is he killing? So they killed the snake and he wasn't feeling so good. So then he went back to Calcutta, Kolkata, right? So then, whilst he was there, he was reading the Bhagavatam. After months later, he was always having these doubts. So he came across this particular verse. And in this verse it says, even saintly persons become happy to see envious living entities like snakes and scorpions being killed. Then he was like, wow, so that's why. Generally, the envious entities like snakes and scorpions, if you kill them, they get a higher birth. Yeah. That's the reason. But you don't go looking to kill snakes and scorpions, all right? Don't do that. If they happen to come across, then yeah. But otherwise, don't get into going looking under woods and looking for snakes and scorpions. That's wrong. That's not what it means. Yeah. When it comes into your own place, Modeta sadhu api vrishchika sarva hatya. So that you can kill at that time. So similarly, as practicing devotees, when we are in danger, we should think of Lord Narasingha. That's why Srila Prabhupada told us to chant Narasingha prayers in any difficult or dangerous situation. So its appearance for the demons is not auspicious, but for us it is. So in another sense, when the Lord appears, He is not inauspicious for the devotees. He is auspicious. He is not inauspicious, right? And the appearance of the Lord is always worshipable. Yeah? Like that. Okay, verse 15. When He appeared, when the Lord appeared, His appearance was very Ugra, very fearsome, frightening. I do not know, but have you seen a lion with its ferociousness, very angry? It's really scary, the lions. So that's how he was. He's very fierce and in his appearance, frightening. And it's certainly most dangerous for the non-devotees. Right? But when Prahlad saw the fearful appearance, he was not at all disturbed. Not at all. Even if a snake comes here in the temple room, we will all be jumping, no? Right? Or even some wild dog comes in, we'll be frightened. But for devotee, no. Huh? Possum came in the temple, you all were frightened. Possum is it's a very gentle animal actually. It won't attack us, may try to defend itself. Now, the Prabhupada says lion is very fearsome to other animals, but to its own cubs, he is gentle, right? It just carries by the neck or whatever. So it is like that. When Narasingha Dev came, Prahlad felt like a cub who's been protected by the father. Just like the sea water, when there is a tsunami coming into the land, we will be frightened. But the entities in the water, they'll be happy. They're going for some ride, So, right. Yeah, even the smallest fish won't be frightened when the water is coming into the land. They're like, oh wow, You're going for a trip. Yeah, right? Yeah. And Prabhupada's point is when those fish take shelter of the ocean, it is not frightened of coming even into the land when the water comes. Similarly, when we take shelter of the Lord, we won't be frightened of difficult situations in life. Even if there's difficulties, we will understand that the Lord will somehow help us overcome the difficult situation. That's the training we have to develop and understand. The Lord is always kind. That although we may go through difficult situation, He is actually trying to help us get out of our material conditioning. Sometimes we face difficult scenarios, but it's all, the purpose is to get us to come out of this attachment to some material things. Sometimes you may like some nice girl and you get married, but then she turns out to be like a witch and she'll give you hell. Then you realize this is not a good scenario for me. Right? So you don't become attached. And then at the right time when you are old, you can give up family life and go to the forest of the material world. Yeah. So it is like that. So in the Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada also says that although great elephants are taken away by the flooding waters, the small fish, they swim happily against the current also. Because they feel safe. Yeah. Verse 16. Although Prahlad is a pure devotee, still he is afraid to live among the demons. He is from the Asuras. He is afraid to live among them. Mainly because he doesn't want materialism. What else? He doesn't want their association. Because Asuras think anti-religious principles. So if you associate too much with a certain group of people, you will eventually develop those kind of thinking also. Therefore, he's saying, I don't want. Although you are blessing me, my Lord, I don't want. So he is teaching us to be very careful in our own association also. Who we pick as our friends. How do you do? Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. So you're my friend, right? You can't do that, huh? Right? We don't do that. Yeah? You hear from them, you see how they behave, then you can say, yeah, this person can be a good friend because they can help me in my Krishna consciousness or help me in my service like that. Yeah, we don't just go randomly and pick someone. You have to know how they can support and improve your own ability to become a better person in terms of service and so on. Right? So that's very important. So that's his conundrum. He's thinking, what to do like that. So in any case, we should have good association because we want to get out of this material existence. Prabhupada says we should be very anxious to get up. Why? Because the Lord is very anxious to bring us back also. He's saying, why are you not coming home? And we are like, well, I'm not sure yet. Give me some more time. But you've been here for millions of lifetimes. Yeah, I know, but still. I need some more time. Time out. So that's what's happening. Although the Lord is so anxious for us to go back to Godhead, we are not so anxious. Right? You go home and you evaluate what your lifestyle is and see where do you say going back to Godhead is a priority. Right? So that's why we talked about yesterday, have your priorities nicely. Verse 17, working hard here he is saying working hard to get a temporary pleasure is not worth the effort. Why? Because it is temporary. If it's temporary, why work so hard? Put in the effort, but don't work so hard. There's this, I think it's Peter's principle, 80-20. Right? You work 80% so hard, and you work 20% and you get 80% of the result. But to get the extra 20%, you have to work 80% more. So it's not worth it, If you think carefully, it's not worth it. But some people don't understand. So therefore you see the different grades of people. Just to get a little bit more, a drop more pleasure, and it's only temporary pleasure. You work hard in your office, and then they will call the office meeting, and then they will say, oh, so-and-so did a great job, and they probably pin something on your chest, and then goodbye. And then you're like, 5 years, and I got one small pin, on my lapel or something like that. So it's incredible, but that's what most people do. Just to have a temporary pleasing condition, we must work so hard. Practically what Prabhupada wants us to understand is, first of all, it is a misery to get it because you have to work so hard. You burn the midnight oil, you burn your family, your son's graduation, you miss your daughter's some kind of dancing ritual, and you miss all those things. So there's so much misery just to get that extra. And then after you get it, it just goes away very quickly, and then you feel miserable anyway. This is reality actually. And then we cover everything with shades, and then we think, it's okay, I'm cool. I'm cool. Right? Yeah. You're a fool, but then you dress nicely and say, I'm cool, man. Right? That's what most people do. Yeah. Right? And then everyone wants to walk like John Travolta, Right? Saturday night fever. Yeah. So Prabhupada also says there are many different remedies to get out of this material disturbance, material miserable life. But to adopt those remedies, also you have to expend so much effort, and it creates other new types of miseries. So therefore, Prahlad Maharaj is saying that the only remedy, he says, is to engage in devotional service. So therefore, he begs the Lord, kindly instruct me in that service. I don't want any boons. I don't want any boons. He's telling the Lord, don't give me any boons. Just give me devotional service. So that's another thing that we should always reflect, because sometimes we come to the Lord and ask for material things, but is it worth your effort? So it's something you have to decide on your own. Is it worth it? Yeah. So that's a challenge, but he says no. Prahlad says no. Verse 18. Again, he says he doesn't want to take birth in the material world. Instead, he says, just chant, hear the glories of the Lord, chant the glories of the Supreme Lord. And by simply doing that, you get freed from material contamination. You get free from material contamination. And the effectiveness of chanting and hearing is best done in the association of devotees. It's more potent, just like we are hearing in a group, it's more potent than if you're on your own. Just like when you hear a class on your own, you have good positive vibration, but you hear with few devotees, you will have a greater understanding, or you talk and discuss after that. And therefore it is better to do it with devotees in association. So therefore he says, I don't want to take birth in this material world, and I want to get out. And the other point Srila Prabhupada says is that many people come up with their own methodology of approaching God. Yeah, I got an idea. This is how we should worship God. But how you know it's going to work? The method that is presented to us by these great saints and sages and pure devotees is already been experimented, and they have got the result. So why would you want to experiment something new? Are you smart? Right? So intelligent person will think, I don't want to rebuild the wheel. I'll just use the method that's already given to us. So therefore there's no need for manufacturing new methods to glorify the Lord. Or you see sometimes there are a group of people who create their own mantras to chant. Nowadays it's quite common. They just mix up and they just chant, and they say it's good chanting. And then they have a group of people who follow them because they don't have to do any rules or regulations like what we tell people to do. The reason we tell people to do that is unless you do some sacrifice, austerity, you will not get to the stage of purification. You cannot control your senses. All we have to do is just repeat what has been given to us in disciplic succession. That's all. You don't have to come up with new or concoct some new methods. Okay. Right. Verse 19. Now, if you want to comment or what, you can put up your hand and say something. That's fine. Verse 19. He says, if there's no protection of the Lord, or there's no mercy from the Lord, then no matter any other remedial measures, it cannot help. It cannot help. And even if there's some help, it's only temporary. The Lord is transcendental, so whatever He does is permanent, eternal. But if you adopt any other measures, it's only material and can only be temporary. So that's his point. So he says if that's the case, then we should always depend completely on the mercy of the Lord. That's his idea. Of course, if you have a cold, right? If you have a fever, you cannot say, oh Lord, help me take this fever away from me. You can't. You should go and see your doctor, right? You can't pretend and say, oh, the Lord will save me. There was once a priest, he was in an island preaching and so on. And then there was a huge typhoon or one of those hurricane systems. And the coastal waters were going to go up like 30 foot or 40 foot. So they told all the residents in the island that they have to leave, go to the mainland. So this priest said, no, I will depend on Lord, my Lord, Father in heaven, He will protect me. So then the flood water started rising, people started leaving, but he refused to go. And then, his friends were saying, come, let's go, we have a big van, you can put all your stuff and we can go now. Because the church is in a low ground. He said, no, I will stay here because the Lord will protect me. So then the water went up and it went above the church, so he went up the mountain or the hill. But the water still kept rising. So he went further and there was a house, so he went into the house. And then the helicopter came, And then when the helicopter came, they saw him, they said, come on, grab the rope, we can go, He says, no, I'm okay, I'm praying. So then the helicopter left, and then the water started rising, and that house was also filled up. Then he climbed on top of the roof, and then he was sitting there, Lord help me. And a boat came, one of those people trying to save people. They say, come, we have space, come. He said, no, I'm not coming, I'm not coming. And then after that, the water went above him and he died. And then the next time we see him in the heavenly pearly gates, he's there. And then when he's there, he's like, oh, I've made it, I'm in heaven now. So then he said, I want to see God, I have something to ask him. So then he goes to God, and then the Lord says, how are you? Then he said, I have a question. I said, yes, please, what is the question? He said, why didn't you save me? I asked you, I prayed for you, I've spent all my life, why didn't you save me? Then the Lord looked at him and he said, I sent 3 people to save you. And you refused all the time. So it's like this, we shouldn't think that, that if there's anything else that can help in our day-to-day life, we should use it. But on top of that, whatever we do in devotional life, we cannot give that up. That's the whole idea. As a matter of routine lifestyle or duty, you of course should use other remedial measures for how to make your life peaceful. But otherwise, we should depend fully on the Supreme Lord. That's the whole point here. And we can only achieve this by being very, very Krishna conscious. Otherwise, it's not going to. We can never be happy. Real happiness is Krishna consciousness. Because, as I mentioned earlier, everything in this material world, the happiness that is packed onto this material world is temporary. Everything is temporary. There's nothing that's permanent. Even if you are very successful, at the end of your life, you have to give it up. And how do you feel at the end of your life? Are you going to be happy, say, wow. Very, very rarely people will be peaceful when they die. But those people are very pious people. If you are very sinful, then you cannot be happy. So without the mercy of the Lord, we can never be happy. Because if we have the mercy, the Lord will always protect us. He says, Konteya pratijana hi name bhakta pranasati. My devotees can never perish because I will save and protect them. Don't worry, that's his order. Verse 20. Here,
when you say protect the devotee, just to clarify that, protect the devotee from falling down from the spiritual life. Spiritual, not the material. We have heard of spiritual masters who have gone through health issues. So, of course, Krishna protected them, looking after their spiritual, whatever they have gained. But not, of course, everyone has to die.
Not necessarily, unless you're in Mahabharata. In Kurukshetra.
Because some people ask, if you are devotee, then you are protected by Krishna.
Not necessarily. Bhishma had to give up his life. But there's a lesson also, so he plays a part. You cannot say, here Krishna says, I will protect my devotees, So, meaning that if the devotees are following everything to please him, and if someone is trying to get and destroy them or whatever, then he'll protect them. Make sure that they are protected. Or if they don't have enough in their life and they're going through difficulty, he'll arrange for them to survive to the extent that they will never give up the Lord. Or the other way is, they will never give up the Lord, no matter what their situation is. Therefore, the Lord is always there to make sure and ensure that eventually they can go back to God. And He protects that bhakti, He protects their, and their needs also.
Because you hear in Bangladesh, a lot of the devotees were really,
harassed
and almost killed them. So that's very, how do we see that, you know. I mean, they are devotees, they are serving the Lord, and even you see the deities were all, yeah.
Yeah, but then, you don't know, if those devotees this is the problem, you see it from a materialistic point of view. But you're not seeing it from Krishna's point of view. How do you know they all didn't go back to Godhead?
The devotees.
Yeah. How do you know they didn't go back to Godhead? Huh? Yes or no?
I don't know.
You don't know, right? So then why are you feeling so negative?
Not negative, Maharaj. I mean,
You're saying Krishna didn't protect them.
no, not I. As devotees, we understand that. But
No, you didn't understand that.
Okay.
Don't say you knew that. Mostly we see that Krishna didn't protect that. That's why the devotees died. But how do you know what Krishna's plan is? We can't assume to know what Krishna's plan is. Even in the battle of Kurukshetra, great personalities, devotees were also killed. We can't understand. Then the acharyas will tell you this way, that way. Oh, okay, maybe still you may not be satisfied. Right? So we cannot think like that. We do not know the circumstances by which all these people had to go through that. But whatever it is, if a devotee is serving Krishna and he gives his life for Krishna, then it's glorious. It's the way most people see is they want to see everyone die peacefully. And then they go back to Godhead. Why? Why must death is just another stage. Whether you die disease or you die peacefully or you die somehow, death is death. Do you all understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
Yeah. So you cannot, try to say a devotee means must die very nicely. Maybe they should float in the sky and then disappear. Then you will say, oh, that's a good death. But that's not our philosophy.
Can I understand? Well, just my understanding. For us, when we see that, for example, someone died in an accident, a devotee, we may see it as, oh, he died in an accident.
Yeah.
Krishna did not protect. But Krishna protected him by, he remembered Krishna, the person who was at the end of his life.
Yeah, it's
he went back
possible.
to Godhead.
Yeah.
Yes, that is what protection is. When Krishna came, and he was able to remember Krishna.
Yes, you can say like that also. Or maybe he was going to do something wrong, something serious. So Krishna said, no, this is not the life for you. Right? There was a devotee once, practicing. He was a drug addict, and so he would come and do service at the temple very nicely. But every few days he'll disappear. And then we'll see him again. Then he'll like, oh, I had to go. He was on to, I think he was taking either morphine or heroin addict. Yeah. But he'd come every few days. And so he was really a nice guy, but he was addicted. So one time he went out and then he died in a car accident. So all the devotees were like, why did it happen? Why didn't Krishna protect him? But then the senior devotee said, no, Krishna actually protected him. Because in this body, he cannot do the service properly. So by getting rid of this body, he's going to get a better body to do better service. You understand? So we cannot, think in the wrong way. We have to understand the Lord's plans properly. This is a problem when we are practicing. We don't sufficiently know, and then we assume, and then it creates a lot of misunderstandings sometimes. Or when you don't understand, you should seek to clarify, but don't go around saying this is what you think it is, until you know it's Sashri. Yeah. Mostly we don't know how the Lord's plans are. Yeah. I think it's 8:40.
We go till 9.
Okay, we go till 9. Okay. Okay, verse 21. So in the beginning, when in terms of creation, Prahlad is saying the living entities want to enjoy the material energy. But the material energy is also an energy of Krishna. Okay? So the Lord, to allow the living entity to enjoy, He gives us all these facilities. Right? And so He created this world, and instead of using the facilities properly to understand who gave us this facility, we concoct different ideas and plans to enjoy this material energy. And therefore, when we do that, what happens is the material energy traps us. It's like a big, sometimes trapdoor spider. So once you go inside, that's it. You're stuck in the material world. So it's very dangerous to keep developing ideas and plans to enjoy in this material world, because the more we try to think like that, the more we get trapped. And it's dangerous. Once you are too deep inside the trap, it's very hard to extricate you. It's like trying to pull the wisdom tooth. And sometimes the dentist would put the leg on the chair. So that's how difficult we will have to go through, suffer to come out of it. Yeah. So instead of getting the dentist's feet on we should take shelter of the Lord's lotus feet. Yeah. So we don't get trapped. The material energy is meant to be used in the service of Krishna, actually. It's an art. In the beginning it's difficult, but the more you become serious in your practices, the Lord gives you the ability to use it in His service. Yeah. Because it is said like that. Taisam sadatam yuktanam vajatam priti purvakam dadami buddhi yogam tam yena mamupayanti. I'll give you the intelligence by which you can come to me, He says. Verse 22, both the material energy and time are different energies of the Lord and are subordinate to Him. They don't supersede Him. They are His energy, so they are not superior to Him. Nothing can actually conquer the Lord. He is unconquerable. He is Ajita. No one can conquer Him. And therefore, if you surrender to the Lord, you will also get to conquer the wheel of time and the material energy. Otherwise, you stay here. Time is an element that is only present in this material universe. It's not. It is there, but it's not. It is absent in the sense that it doesn't have an effect on the living entities in the spiritual world. Time is only here because it's called eternal realm. So it's a personality there, but he doesn't exert that influence. Whereas time in this material world influences our body. So, you may be young, but in 5-10 years you can see everything, getting ruined, wasted. Yeah. I was sent a few years back during COVID time, a link to a YouTube video where this guy, he has taken his picture for the last 20 or 25 years and he put on and so you see him age from a teenage boy into like a 35, 40-year-old man. I can see how the face, everything. Can't stop time. Yeah. Verses 23 and 24. Here Prahlad rejects, just like Queen Kunti, he rejects longevity. He doesn't want long life. He doesn't want wealth. He doesn't want fame. He doesn't want anything. He just wants blessings to worship the Lord, but he doesn't want boons and blessings that will keep him in the material world. He says, I don't want. He says, I rather serve the devotees and associate with the devotees of the Lord. Yeah. That's a safer bet than if you are going to give me some boon, some wealth, most wealthy people are not happy. They are worried. They are thinking, what happens if tomorrow the stock market crashes? Right? Or they are worried, who will come and rob me tonight? So they'll have guards, they'll guard dogs, they'll have all kinds of alarm system, CCTV. Cannot sleep peacefully. Whereas you see a beggar in the street under some flyover, he's just sleeping peacefully. What a contrast, right? Think about that. So Prahlad Maharaj says, I don't want any of these things. I don't want even live long, What happens if you live long? Okay, one thing, you will have more material desires. What else?
See everyone die.
Okay, very good. You can see your loved ones dying one by one. Right? You see them go, your child, your grandchildren, everyone, but you are immortal. How can you live? You go crazy. So the idea is we don't need to have a long life, but rather we need to have a good practice of Krishna consciousness to develop that love so that we can give up all this temporary existence which just pulls at our heartstrings, makes us emotional. We are by nature emotional beings, but the emotions are meant to please Krishna. But rather we become so confused in this material world, we don't know what is right or wrong, and therefore the emotions that comes out become so concocted, contaminated, and therefore we have mental health issues, don't know how to love someone, hate someone, envy, all these things comes out of us. So therefore he says, I don't want any of these things. Just let me serve the devotees peacefully. That's his prayers. Verse 25. So he says, very emphatically he says, happiness in this world is like a mirage in the desert. So what's a mirage in the desert? Huh? Yeah, but what do you see in the desert usually? Water, right? But it's non-existent. So happiness in this material is non-existent actually. It's a temporary status where you feel, oh, I'm so cool, I'm so happy. Yeah. Actually, the happiness that you experience is an interruption of your miserable life. It is. Otherwise, you'll be happy all the time. It's based on scriptures. It is. Yeah. So next time you feel happy, you say, wow, I've been so miserable. Now I feel happy. Right? So yeah. So yeah, the other thing is we have this human body and it's a source of so many diseases. So many diseases. Still you find scientists, philosophers, politicians, they all will talk greatly about the body and so on, how you can use it to enjoy the senses. That's what they all talk about, how they enjoy senses, right? Otherwise, why does a 70-year-old man need Viagra pills? When he should be thinking of how to get out of this material world. Yeah. Right? Doesn't make sense. Yeah. They're all aspiring to enjoy, hoping for, one more time, one for the road. But you can't, The ability to enjoy only up to a certain age, in the 20s, 30s maybe. After that, your senses, everything degrades. whatever you enjoy, you cannot have the same. Like they say in economics, the marginal utility principle. Once you hit that, that's it. Everything is less, right? Diminishing returns. You cannot have the same pleasure anymore. That's why they say the first time is the best. Even then it's temporary. So, which is why you see people always, keep looking for happiness, because they are thinking, I got it once before, I can get it again. But that's an illusion. Yes.
In performing devotional service, Maharaj, can we find happiness, or what is happiness in devotional service?
Okay, it's a good question. When you serve very nicely, the Lord gets pleased. When He is pleased, you will automatically be pleased because He's in your heart. So that is a spiritual happiness, transcendental happiness, yeah. Right? Just like in the case of, there is a pastime which can make it very clear that, or even, the watering a tree. If you water the leaves, the plant will die or the tree will die eventually. But if you water the roots, all the branches and the leaves are happy, right? So if you serve Krishna, automatically everyone is happy around you. Yeah, they become satisfied. The first stage of your development in your aspiration to become a devotee is that you first become satisfied with your current situation in life. You're not thinking of wanting more anymore. Rather, your aspiration is, how can I please the Lord further? So you'll be thinking of ways to please Him, and that in itself, the endeavor in itself, will give you pleasure, because it's connected to the Supreme Lord, the Eternal Lord. Otherwise, you end up, going somewhere in the forest of material enjoyment. Yeah. You should change it to some Krishna conscious tune. Yeah. Right. So then, verse 26 and 27. He is saying he is amazed and astonished, and he stresses that the Lord's mercy transcends birth or social status, because he is an asura, right? And he's saying the Lord doesn't only give mercy to only brahmanas. He just gives to whoever is performing devotion to Him. So therefore he says, I'm amazed, Lord, that you are so amazing, that you reserve your special mercy and benediction for sincere devotees. That's what he's saying. It's only devotees you bless, not just because I'm a millionaire or billionaire or trillionaire or whatever. Yeah. So he says it doesn't matter. You can be a low carb, low born, or you're from an asura family. He says it doesn't matter. My Lord, you're so kind. That's what his amazement is in verses 26 and 27. Verse 28. So in verse 28, he's remembering his spiritual master's instruction. So for us also, we should always try to remember our spiritual master's instruction. Because here, what Prahlad is showing us is gratitude. So remember I mentioned yesterday also, we should have gratitude for the things that we get, or the things that we don't have that will cause problems for us also. So we should be grateful for everything that we have. Lord is very kind like that. So he remembers his spiritual master. He expresses gratitude, and then he says he wants to continue to serve his guru. He doesn't want to go back to Godhead. And that's an interesting point, because this is the mood of a devotee. Gopir Bharta Pada Kamalaya Dasa Dasa Anudasa. That means he is only wanting to serve the servant of the servant of the servant of the gopi who is serving Krishna. That's the mood we have to build, you know. We can't directly go to Krishna, no. We want to serve, and it's far more fun serving and exciting serving a devotee who's serving another devotee who's ultimately serving Krishna, you know, right? Sometimes you get too close to spiritual master, he'll get angry and you're like, oh, you know. But with devotees, it's a bit more lax. So, so he's saying, like, he prefers to be serving the servant rather than the Lord directly. He's not asking for direct service, but he wants to serve the servant of the servant. And so this is very high consciousness. Most of us will immediately think, immediately I want to stand next to the Lord. Immediately I want to be a gopi, like that. It's nonsense. First chant. Verse 29. The Lord is Samaham Sarva Bhuteshu. He is equal to all living entities as a super soul. He's always equal. Huh? And he's not a friend, nor is he an enemy of anyone. As I mentioned earlier, that if you want the Lord to fight with you, he said, yeah, sure, because I want to fulfill your desire. Lord, I want to love you. Okay, that's a bit difficult. Let's see how good you are. Let me test you first. Yeah. That's the only difference. Yeah. So he's equal to everyone. So as you desire benefits from the Lord is pleased to award all of us whatever we desire. Okay, and then the last for this portion, the middle. This is the last one I will do because it's going to be 9 o'clock. So everything you see in this material world is actually Krishna's energy. Even all of us, we are part and parcel of Krishna. Very clearly he says that also in the 15th chapter. Mamayam sajiva loka jiva bhuta sanatana mana sastani indriyani pravittistani karshati. With our senses of mind we are trying to enjoy this material energy, although we are part and parcel of Krishna, and therefore we have no right to come here and try to enjoy independently. And therefore we find variations of sufferings. Because there are limited resources, and for you to enjoy something, someone else has to give it up. And when two people don't want to give up, then war breaks up. Resources, which is why sometimes America goes and hits the Middle East so they can get more oil or something like that. So you see everything here, everything rests in Him. You can't see it just like a thread in a pearl necklace, which is holding all the pearls, but you can't see the thread behind. Right? The pearls look so beautiful, but what is behind that is holding everything and looking so nice is the Lord Himself. Yet, although He is existing everywhere through His energies, He's still existing separately. So this is kind of, how is that possible? With our present intelligence and mind, it's very difficult to know. But the understanding is Achinta Veda Veda Tattva. Simultaneously one and different at the same time. He can do that, we can't. Okay? Unless you can run so fast, like Flash, you can be in two places. But you can be Flash also and still not be as good as the Lord. He's everywhere at the same time, and yet He is in Goloka Vrindavan. It's impossible to understand. Huh? So because the energy as well as the energetic are one, everything is one. So therefore, that's the aphorism in the Shastra, Sarvam Kalam Idam Brahma. Everything is Brahman. Means everything is spiritual energy. But all these spiritual energies are coming from Krishna. So that's our proper understanding. If there's no God, then nothing here will exist. Nothing will exist. So, I'll stop here. Comments? questions that you have. So this is only half of it, and then the next 20 verses is more glorification of the Lord. You can go and read yourself. Okay? Chalte. Alright. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.